Yeah, yeah, yeah. We get lit, we get fly, we talk stuff, we get high. But to the masses, we just a podcast called Verified. I'm your host. I am Joe Paul. I'm here with my brother Lee Trink, superstar extraordinaire. I don't want to say like Jewish activist, but he's an activist that just happens to be Jewish, and he's my brother, and he's got quite a story, been through a lot. I had the pleasure of being able to actually kick it with him in person at the Voices for Peace event. So, and he was the sole reason that I actually went. I was like, I got to go and meet my brother Lee. You know, he's all the way in from the West Coast. I was like, we got to do it. So, Lee Trink, welcome to the Verified Podcast. How are you, my brother? How's everything?
I am doing fantastic. I couldn't be happier to be on the podcast with you, Joe Paul. I feel the same way. You know, when I was coming to the East Coast, my home, LA is where I live, but it's not my home. I needed to see. It was something we had to get done, and
Yes,
we
sir.
did it.
Absolutely. We and it was a mitzvah for both of us.
That's
So
right. That's right.
so it was good. But yeah, let's jump right into it. So how did you come to be such a powerful voice of reason in a very, very fucked up world of confusion and misinformation? What really, I mean, obviously October 7th, like probably activated you like a lot of us, but like what really made you want to take the reins and say, you know what, this is what I need to do because I got to do it.
So, on October 7th, I was on vacation. I had left my last post of my last gig and was just taking some time to figure out what I wanted to do next. I've done that before. I've had periods where I've made a lot of pivots in my career, and this felt like just one of those moments. And I thought it needed some space to go do that. And that's where I was on October 7th. So I had a lot of time to think on a beach every day in the wake of October 7th. And the first line that hit me, and I mean, it's funny because I don't think I'm going to get choked up over saying it, although usually when I talk about it, I do, because that's how profoundly it impacted me. But the first line that hit me was, "This is on your watch." That's it. That line kept repeating in my head. I have a, a big network. I have a platform of, what I've been able to do and what I've been fortunate enough to do in my career over long periods of time. And that was really what hit me. This is on your watch. And I think what I meant by that, and even though I didn't articulate it to myself exactly, was, who are you going to be? Who are you going to be? This is what's happening to your people. And because it was clear, and what I've said to people is, and this might be shocking to hear, I understand October 7th. I do understand that. It's not that I'm not shocked and appalled and horrified by it, but I understand the world has monsters in it. The first part of my career, the very first thing I did was I was a prosecutor in Brooklyn. And so every day was an
You had to deal
introduction.
with monsters.
Yeah, every day it's monsters, right? So I am very well aware. Now, this is about as monstrous as it gets. Is it about as monstrous as anything I've lived through in real time hearing about? But I understood October 7th, what was intolerable and what really shook me to my core was October 8th and the days following. And
October 8th was
it
quite
did.
profound on the East Coast because all of a sudden I'm seeing the largest protests of people celebrating October 7th and saying the strangest thing, stop the genocide, when Israel hadn't even retaliated yet. Hasn't even, they were still
Then fired the first
mourning
shot.
their dead. The fires were still burning in the kibbutzim, and there's protests in the streets of Manhattan, New York, where the largest Jewish population actually lives.
Right, outside of
And
Missouri.
we were just shocked.
Yeah. And that was it. And so, and it shattered two, what I would say, closely held beliefs. They were beliefs, they were wrong, but they were beliefs at the time. And one was, I believed the Holocaust couldn't happen again. Certainly in the West. And I come from, all of my grandparents are Holocaust survivors. My father was born in a Russian forced labor camp. He was born there. He lived there until he was 3.5 years old during the war. So I have been told the stories for as long as I can remember. And, my dad and I talk about this now, where I kind of laughed it off, like not actually laughing, but I kind of dismissed it, that something like that could happen. And so that was the first thing that was shattered. And the second thing was, I believed that anti-Semitism and Jew hatred, I believe that Jew hatred was just another hatred like anything else. We live in a world where tons of people hate tons of other people. And I just thought we were just in that mix. And that's how, people are shitty and people, and I thought that was
Yeah,
it.
right. There's always going to be the KKK, always going to be the white supremacists, always going to be, so
Hate black people, people hate Asian, people hate everybody. You can find people that hate everybody else. And so I thought we were just in the mix. And what it showed me was, no, we are not in that mix.
no, they got a real hard on for the Jews.
Yeah. And especially I believe, wow, we are in this, there's been so much momentum around taking care of minority groups, which have been either oppressed or marginalized or subject to hatred. We had
and mostly disenfranchised, because in today's day and age, there's, I mean, it's not like there's actual slavery going on right now, where
not in America, although in places in the Middle East there is, right?
Absolutely, 1000%. I was talking about in relation to what the African American community dealt with back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
So it's like the way that they can be oppressed is through disenfranchisation.
Yeah,
that word, whatever that is, and we can understand that because we've been marginalized, we've been disenfranchised our entire existence, and whether or not you are, a religious Jew that, actually knows all of the stories firsthand, or you just hear about it on the holidays, it's like you have to see that people are people and everyone deserves to have equal rights. And when you see a community that's being marginalized or disenfranchised, you want to step up and you want to say something. But then when you're tricked and convinced that the oppressors are oppressing the oppressed when they got it backwards, or they just have it confused, that's when it becomes a whole different ball game. And it's like, okay, well, where do we start? I relate it to Ghostbusters 2. Remember the big slime force field that was around the Metropolitan Museum of Art that they couldn't break through? That's what we're dealing with. And we don't have proton packs or a Statue of Liberty. We don't. I mean, we maybe have Rick Moranis with one proton pack, and that's it. And that's the big ball of misinformation and confusion of who exactly the Jewish people are and what the Israeli people are and what the IDF is and what the actual democracy over there. We can't apply the same Western values and philosophies that we live with here over there. Like it's
well,
people,
that's
it's
right.
the Middle East.
Yeah,
it's the Middle East.
Well, it actually falls in line with a long history in America of being both ethnocentric and geocentric. America thinks the world revolves, not America, Americans, but mostly believe that America is the center of the universe. And I kind of understand where it comes from. It's just not true, right? It's not, our value system, you can't just impute our value system and say, well, no, all these other people want the same things out of life that we do, because that's not always the case. And
it's not true.
It's not true, right? And so that's so that's it. Those things were shattered, right? And I'm somebody, I marched for during BLM. I supported LGBTQ plus. I supported Stop Asian Hate, right? So I thought, hey, here we go. Here it's time for people to step up and protect Jews. And what we found was, and look, there's a lot of reasons. Like we probably don't have enough time to talk about the reasons why things have been like they are, but that
You
really
just said the ball of slime around Metropolitan Museum of Art. That's That's the big ball of misinformation that all those people in those and I don't mean to say those people, so don't fucking clip this and be like, oh look, oh Joe Paul's a racist, you know, no, because there's plenty of other shit that I say
I
that
say
sounds
those people
racist.
about all the people on the wrong, just the wrong side of history and the wrong
Right.
side of understanding where morality is.
Yeah, listen, they're gonna hate me anyway, so I don't give a shit. But it's like, you know, when you look at the big ball of misinformation and why they would believe that, we're dealing with a truly sinister force that has been at work for a long, long time. And and now you know how nerdy I am with when it comes to history and all of that shit. And you know, I'm glad I could take the reins and do that, and I could deliver it in a way coming from the hip hop community where people are gonna listen. They're gonna be like, oh shit, maybe he knows what the fuck he's talking about. But it's a very, very weird, sinister plot to make the Jews look like we are the worst people that ever walked the fucking earth. And it's crazy that, you know, people that are 0.2% of the entire world's population is being blamed for 100% of the world's problems, which is just
Well,
fucking
we've been the
crazy.
scapegoats for, millennia, right? Like we've played that role for a lot of people. When governments fail, they often point to Jews as the source of it to distract the population from what the real sources are. So, those are the things that kind of that's what really kind of shocked me out of what I say is I was blissfully asleep. Like it was not, despite my parents are Israeli, and it just wasn't a big part of my identity. It wasn't a big part of anything, but I just felt it started with this is on your watch. And then, I started sharing things, but what I realized, and my sense is you probably had some similar realization, because I think that we have a lot of similarities in the way we deliver our
We
information.
twins. You just have hair. I don't.
The thing that really moved me from just like sharing information to putting myself on social media talking about it is I thought Jews that are scared need to see Jews that are not scared. I just felt like that in and of itself, we are from very populated with areas that have a lot of Jews, right? New York, LA, but there are Jews around the world, around the country that don't have that don't have a community around them that can understand what it is. And I really, my heart was breaking for those kind of more isolated Jews,
Same.
right? That weren't exposed to other things. And I thought they
Wait,
need to,
right.
not,
This is a very alone feeling, you know, being, you know, ostracized from the world, and then you take that a step further into like the breadbasket of America, and you know, different. And I talk to, I can only imagine the people that you talk to, because I like to touch as many people as possible. You know, not like Michael Jackson, but I like to touch people in a way that, you know, and I love Mike. You know, rest in peace. My bad. I'm sorry. And I don't know why I just went like this, because I'm Jewish, so I don't know why we do this. But anyway, but there's people that are very, very alone all around the world that don't have a lot of Jews to maybe call up and be like this. Like they might not have one Jew that they're even friends with. Like, so I talked to like a couple of people in like Arizona and Utah and Wisconsin. I mean, in Wisconsin, there's a decent amount, because that's where Jews actually first inhabited America. But like, you know, this one girl told me, she's like, there's 3 Jews in the entire town within like a 15 to 20 mile radius. And I'm not even friends with the other 2 Jews.
that's gotta
So,
feel,
right.
that's gotta
So that
be,
so that, that was the same exact thing that I did. It's like, I'm not a trembling knee Jew. And whereas, you know, in the hip hop community, it was always said like, yo, like, you know, stay away from like, you know, the Jewish stuff, you know, don't be like, you're the rapping Jew, here to smack, you and your crew. And like, they say just stay away from the whole mentioning Jewish things, because the myth was, oh, the Jews run the music industry. So, they're going to think that like you had like, like like an already, a push, up into
yeah.
it. So, um,
Lots of Jews in the music business, but they don't understand the way the music business works. It's actually a business. You gotta
Yeah,
actually.
ain't that the fucking truth? Oh my God. And I like to talk to some of them and give them some business etiquette, because they're doing it all wrong, baby. All wrong. But to get back to your point, it's like I know that I'm not a trembling knee Jew. And whereas I didn't really, speak on it, if we were in a conversation with people and all of a sudden, someone was like, oh man, let me borrow a couple dollars, stop being a Jew. It'd be like, yo, I'm Jewish. You don't say that. It's like other people won't say that. They might just be just like laugh, like ha ha ha, yeah, like we got pennies too, you know, like, and then instead of realizing that you're not laughing with them, they're laughing at you. So I feel like it was my place to stand up and say, no trembling knees around here, and people are going to either get the message, or it's going to hurt when they all come for me. That's all
Yeah,
I can
well,
say.
it's important, but I think it's also, I think overall people have underestimated Jews. I mean, I think we've been, despite the fact that we get slagged with running this, that, or the other, the banks, the media, the whatever, which all of it is bullshit. But I think that in general, people do underestimate Jews. I think that they underestimate it when toughness matters, right? Like I think and I'm talking about this country maybe in particular, because that's not the reputation of Jews. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I think Jews kind of tend to keep their head down and want to go along with things. But I think what's happened is there's been a lot of awakened Jews that are those strong Jews, that are the ones that, without the trembling knees, and the ones that really won't take any shit. And I think people are surprised how many that there are. I think that they're surprised that our willingness to not back down and to keep fighting. And like, I think that's ultimately will be the undoing, right? Like you mentioned it before, like even those protests that started on the 8th, it's like, now that we recognize, okay, those were really planned as much as the 7th was planned, the 8th was planned also. And, there was a lot of preparation. And I think what they expected, our enemies expected, they would just break our backs, right? Like that they would come, with the attack on the 7th, and then this global hatred, this coordinated effort around the world. And
Well,
that
it's an Islamic caliphate. I mean, basically, it gets very, very deep. I don't know if you got a couple of minutes to talk, but I'll give you a little story real fast.
sure.
So, the attack on October 7th was basically a phone call or a mass email or mass text message to all the Islamic Jihad, the Iranian regime, the Palestinian Authority, Fatah, whatever is still in place, the Houthis, Hezbollah. It was basically a call for the caliphate to start. It really, really goes back like about 80 years. And there was a battle. I'm not even going to mention the name of the battle because like it's very, very highly contested. But there was an Arab elite named Dr. Khalidi, also wrote a book called The 100 Years War in Palestine, which is basically I compare it to the book that was released back in Nazi Germany and Switzerland called The Elders of Zion, which is a propaganda make you hate the Jews in their own way. It's their own Mein Kampf, if you will, and Professor Dr. Khalidi's grandson actually is a professor of Middle Eastern studies at, you guessed it, Columbia University. So, and Columbia is also rated as the #1 anti-Semitic university in the entire country. So after this battle, back to the history lesson. After this battle, there was a rogue faction of Jews called the Lehi. There was 300 members. Like it was like the mafia, call it like the mob. And it was a radical faction that was basically created to instill terror on the people that would do harm against the Jews. I mean, they were also crazy. They tried to like form an alliance with the Nazis, to get rid of the Arabs. Like just, I mean, if you want to, it's the only reference to like Jewish terrorism besides, I can't remember his name, the guy who went into the
America,
yeah, there you go. But
India.
right, so this group lined up 14 innocent civilians and systematically had a firing squad. There was a whole bunch of others that died. I mean, not the death count was not like into like the hundreds. Like I believe it was 110 that were actually killed. And there was some contesting on who died fighting, who died from being murdered. But it was general consensus that they did something they shouldn't have done. The Jews, or this radical faction, not to be, confused with the Haganah or the other Jewish militias. Like this was one group that really tried to fuck shit up. It was basically like Al Capone's gang. It said, you know what, we got to protect Chicago. So anybody that comes here, we got to fuck up everybody. And so when news got out about this, what they call a massacre, but I'm going to say, this tragic event that happened, Dr. Khalidi said, we need to capitalize on that. We need a way to spark outrage into the community where Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt, and everyone comes together and we take the Jews out. And there was a lie that was told saying that the Jews raped pregnant women and killed babies. Sounds familiar, right?
Yeah.
So Jews have been killing babies for millennia. So, but what actually happened was when that news got out, it actually scared.
Well, isn't this around the when Israel declared independence and
Yeah.
this was
There's the Battle of Deir Yassin.
Yeah, it's part of the flight, right? Like what's described, what's called the Nakba, and I think you and I will likely agree on the Nakba, aka the catastrophe, is how humiliated the seven Arab armies that came to attack this like fledgling state with almost no.
A bunch of refugees. That was a catastrophe. When Islam and the Muslim rule has basically ruled the land since the late 8th century and conquered numerous territories and made Jews to live as second-class citizens that had to pay a tax in order to actually just live and survive. And so when this battle happened and when this lie was told, it actually scared a lot of the neighboring villages and it caused them to flight because they didn't want that to happen to them, which, I mean,
there's a few things they screwed up to go create the Nakba, right? Like they also said, hey guys, clear the decks, get out of your homes. We're going to go annihilate the Jews, annihilate the new country of Israel, and you guys will come back. And lo and behold, they miscalculated severely.
The thing that people don't even understand is that when they say that Israel is the occupied territory, as of 1948, when Israel declared its independence, only 18% was owned by absentee Arab landlords. That these were like some of the most prominent, most wealthiest, people of Palestine, of the Arabs of Palestine. And we'll get into why they call themselves the Arabs of Palestine right after this. But they were able to leave because they had enough money to do so. And they thought, okay, yeah, once they win the war, we'll come back. But they actually established themselves elsewhere and didn't come back and figured that they were going to get in as part of this like right of return, which was made for the Jewish people to actually come back to the land of Israel. And there is really no right of return for the Arabs of Palestine. But I do understand their plight, but that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is when these Arab elites left and didn't come back, when their homes are destroyed anyway, what were the Jews supposed to do? Not rebuild? Like this is
war is
they
war.
want
Like
this is war.
It's this predated the fuck around find out, but war is a real thing. You don't get to, there's no mulligans, there's no do-overs. You don't get to say we fled our home so these armies could wipe you out, and then you lose, and then you guys say no, but we really didn't mean it. No, sorry, tough shit. You made your bed, now sleep in it. That's it. Like there's a big continuum of the narrative versus the facts, but I actually go a step further, and all of those things are right? Like a lot of Jews purchased land from Arabs. So much of Israel was actually purchased from
8%. And as of 1948, 8% was owned legally, purchased by Jews from Arabs as early as the Ottoman Empire up until present. There was a restriction, that the British helped mandate where Jews were not allowed to purchase lands, especially around Jerusalem. But then the Jews got smart. They said, okay, well, this Grand Mufti or this mayor doesn't want to, sell us land. We'll buy land, up here in northern Judea, Samaria. And they started establishing settlements there, and that's why, the Golan Heights is so highly contested, because in terms of military, positioning, if Syria or Lebanon had hold of the Golan, like they could just decimate Israel completely. It's the best vantage point for an attack. So it's like strategically and like militarily, it is essential that we maintain that position up there.
And look, we have never been the aggressors in any of this. When you lose a war, you lose things. Things are lost, right? Like
Yeah, it
that's
sucks.
yeah. It's go talk to your leaders. Your leaders, there were a lot of other options to have. Going back and saying, well, we don't like the outcome, so we want to change things. Sorry, you can't unring that bell. You attack the country. You attack, multiple times. Sorry, you haven't been able to pull it off. There are consequences to those actions. So I think I'd take it a step further than a lot of people. Like, yes, but unquestionably, the Jews' return to Israel is like the greatest decolonization act in the history of the world.
The world.
That being said, if you lost in conquest, in battle, because you attacked and lost, well, tough shit. Even if I would have no sympathy for you, because that is how things work. You want to go negotiate something different? Okay, have at it. But you can't claim a right to it after losing a war. That's unfortunately.
Here's the flip side of that. Imagine the Jews lost.
No, it'd be over. We wouldn't be.
We would not. We would not be.
Here.
We would not be here.
That's
And
it.
I don't think people understand that the ideology of Islamic Jihad, which was started, way before Haji Amin al-Husseini ever actually said it. But there is a genocidal quote that I always reference where he said, nobody would stop fighting until every last Jew was vanquished and all of Palestine was Arab only. Like, you don't really get a more genocidal statement. Like some fringe Israeli like official or politician that has no power to actually command the IDF saying, we got to wipe them out and, carpet bomb the whole place. And people want to use that as say, oh, genocide. We got you for intent. That's it right there. It's like, no, like your ideology, it's built into the way you guys were brought up and how you're learned to hate the Jews. And that brings me to my next topic with UNRWA and how absolutely catastrophically fucked that fucking place is.
Well, look, I actually think it speaks to even a larger problem. Like, of course, for Israel, UNRWA has been really a catastrophic problem. It's been a generator of hate, right? Between the curriculum, between the relationship with terror groups, like they continue to manufacture terrorists out of UNRWA. But I think where we are now, like Israel is at a point where they're not, I think that they were being polite about it and they're no longer being polite about it. And every day there's new evidence that comes to light. I think there was some new stuff today about another, headquarters or another building being used, which is like, who can even keep track of how many UNRWA buildings are being used as terror bases?
Yeah, and right now it's on the table in Israel for UNRWA to be classified as a terrorist organization. And then once that happens, then the money stops flowing. And really, it should be disbanded anyway. I mean, I'd like to know how many refugees they've actually resettled and rezoned since 1948.
The answer is none, because it's the only Palestinian refugees are the only refugees that have grown in size. It's like the whole thing is absurd, right? The premise of it is absurd. There's one refugee organization for the entire globe's population of refugees and a second one just for Palestinians. It's absurd. There's no, they should be treated no different than any other refugees. They should be treated with respect. They should be treated not that different. But it speaks to a much bigger problem to me. And I think even the events, look, the last few weeks have been, who could have thought things can get more crazy, exponentially more crazy and bizarre than they were just a few weeks ago to where they are now. But here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah, here we are. but it speaks to a much greater problem, which is the UN overall. Put aside, you know, I don't kid myself to think when I talk about Jews or Israel, that is going to matter to everybody or even most people. It's not. It's people are focused on their own thing. The problem with the UN is much worse, or it's much larger than just how it impacts the country of Israel. If you look at
Global perception. It's perception, and perception is 9/10 of the law, because like they
also,
look at it as such a accredited, assertive, and like definitive point of information. So like when the UN says it, it is gold. Like, I mean, you can't go against it.
provide a function, right? There was a function in a way to kind of referee the world, right? Like I think the function makes sense that there should be somebody that countries participate in that could be really ideally a neutral, unbiased arbiter of facts, and arbiter of, you know, whether there's sanctions or other things. But the problem is where they've gotten to. What use are they? Put every issue of Israel aside. The world has a lot of problems. This world has a lot of problems. We just all happen to be focused. The hit show of the season is Israel. That's the real talk.
Absolutely.
The breakout hit of the world's attention this year is Israel. But that
right. Israel, Palestine is Squid Games.
Yeah, that's right. And but it doesn't mean that there's not massive problems in China and in Afghanistan, in
Sudan, in Yemen. It's crazy.
Right? So, but when the UN has gone so far into biased rhetoric, into absurdity, right? When Iran is the chair of the disarmament committee, you just have to throw your hands up and say, I reject everything. You don't need to say another word. I reject you. I reject anything else. If you have created a system where Iran can be the chair of the disarmament committee, where China can sit on a humanitarian committee, it flies.
That's like putting Hitler as head of the Supreme Court that has full proxy power and decision making. Hope this doesn't get flagged because I just said his name.
Yeah. But that's it. Where do you go from there? How can we ever look at the UN again as an organization with credibility and authority that we will respect? I think we have to I think we need to start over. Now, the challenge is you want to give countries representation, but part of the problem is we have so many countries that are entered that are so biased with their agenda, a lot of them being, you know, led by a desire for a caliphate. Then you have countries like China and Russia that, you know, they are trying to take the world in a specific direction, right? Away from the power that America has wielded. And we are, you know, we know well from, you know, all the information that we have is, you know, from China and Russia, like you're not dealing with countries that frankly even care about their own citizens necessarily. And now they are in positions to drive a global agenda. And you have now what was meant to be an unbiased arm that is now biased and now has been corrupted. Now, what do you do now?
Well, the only thing I guess I could say is it was great to know you, Lee. In case we, you know, all go up in flames tomorrow, it was an absolute pleasure to get to know you. Joe Paul signing off. No, you make an excellent point, and when you have an organization, you know that the credibility itself has to be questioned. It needs to be some sort of absolution, and there needs to be a change in it because the world has gone kind of fucking mad, and it's like it's hard. It's getting harder and harder to defend the position when you have a corrupt organization. Like I argue with people and they're like, oh, look, this is what Associated Press said, and this is what the Guardian said, and this is what Amnesty International said. And it's like, these used to be accredited sources that didn't post one people's agenda. Like, they would give the entire picture. And now it's like everything has been invaded, even to the point where, like, so that my extent of research is just fucking insane. Like, I've actually physically seen with my own eyes, like, Wikipedia pages that the information has changed. And then I'll look and I'll see who updated the information. And I'm not going to make any assumption based on, a name of like Muhammad, but I think we could see who changed, who trying to change history from the inside. Like, it's absurd that, like, history is trying to be rewritten digitally on the inside, in the inner algorithm matrix, whatever fucking you want to call it, just to justify a narrative based on a falsehood of the events of history from 1948 on, even beforehand. But I mean, the most highly contested, starts with Israel's independence and the Nakba, and Israel's an apartheid state, and genocide, and blockade, and oppression, and white colonizers, and just like every buzzword you could think of. It's very, very hard to actually start to defend it when they're coming with facts that are not real facts, and they're coming with information or quotes from a book that is a propaganda, like almanac. So
it's hard.
It sucks.
The average Joe, what I think about, like, it is so hard to even get to the truth, because to your point about the media sources, and I actually, posted about this the other day, and it's been kind of a degrading and a devolving area with the media. It started, to me, the beginning of this was when CNN started, right? Ted Turner came up with the idea of CNN. Interestingly enough, was laughed out of almost every room, because people said to him, who wants to listen to news 24 hours a day? Can you imagine the absurdity now thinking about it? But that's what they said to Ted Turner. They said, we've got the news at 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. and that's,
you got the newspapers in the morning,
And, lo and behold, when, that was like the shot heard word around the world. And since news has become entertainment, and the lines between journalism and entertainment have been blurred to the point of non-existence. And, like many of the great institutions that we used to have, and let's just speak about this country, America, because, free press is granted by the First Amendment and is really critical to a functioning society. It's critical to hold your government accountable. It's critical to really inform the populace about what's going on. And so when the almighty dollar trumps, no pun intended, when the almighty dollar trumps journalistic integrity and ethics, the negative impact to society is really significant.
Damaging. It's when you turn a news outlet into an entertainment source, or when you seek to get your entertainment from a news source, that's the problem. Unfortunately, we're in a world of clicks and views, and we're all fighting an algorithm monster. So everybody wants to drop the big story. Everybody wants to report things as it happens, even before they have substantiation, because they always feel like they can retract it, or they could just, I'll just delete that post, like it never happened.
Because of social media, it's really become a race. And the what happened with more traditional outlets like broadcast television and and in the written word, instead of those institutions saying, yeah, you can go get your news fast from these places, but you'll get them right from us, they went the other way around, and they started chasing the speed. And as social media, as more and more people started finding their news from social media, these, the New York Times, the once paper of record, kind of capitulated and started to enter the speed race instead of adhering to we will be the authority for the right information. And frankly, I don't know, I know who I follow. There happens to be somebody that maybe I'll give him a shout out. I'm not, I actually met him at the summit. He showed up, but Mo News, which I follow on IG, and I started following him well before this, because it was impossible for me. The amount of effort that you have to go through to get to facts, it's
Get to the truth.
too burdensome.
Right. You result to, you almost have to resort to trusting the person whose voice that you trust, that they went and got the source, because they wouldn't report it because of their integrity. So I know I completely agree with you. Like, that's why I like I think it's important reporting, or accurate reporting, that they were at the summit with us. I'm really butchering their names.
Accuracy in media, maybe?
I think so. But they they'll only post stuff that's been substantiated, and they won't put a story out there until they actually hear about it. And it's a sad day in hell where, like, I saw it, like, I've never spoken about this, and I'll speak about it right now, because maybe it'll go viral or get like some sort of buzz clip, whatever. I was one of those Democrats that hardcore CNN, fuck Fox, fuck Trump, fuck everything. Like me, they were all the bad guys. Like, when you say they stole the election, fuck you. Like, I'm getting vaccinated 18 times. And I started seeing speech started to change when it came to Israel. And then I said, wait a second, okay. Hostages released. I was like, they were fucking rescued. I was like, what? I was like, wait, the Israel is the genocide that Israel's committing in Palestine. Wait, what the fuck did you just report? And I literally saw it firsthand. And it literally, there was a shift in me that was like, almost like somebody like the Matrix moment, where basically you get awakened to what the world actually is. And those shades were pulled off of my eyelids, and I was like, thank God Lee Trink is here to fucking guide me through this, because but yeah, it was a rude awakening when I started having to not trust the people that I trust. Like, I mean, I can't watch them anymore. I can't listen to them speak. I don't know if they're being genuine with it, because I know that this is all for ratings. If people don't like you, you're going to be off the air. So you might want to say the stories that people want to hear from you in the way you want to tell it, and that might not actually be the truth. So once I saw that,
it's a mix of things, because there's some things that are done for the dollars, right? There's some changes that are done for the dollars, but then you have media outlets, like, again, storied media outlets like the Times, like Newsweek, that will report based on an agenda. And where we've seen it in the starkest ways, frankly, around Trump. And look, I'll get this out of the way. Like, historically, I've always been centrist. I've probably always leaned a little bit right, more fiscally. I've certainly leaned left on social issues, but it became clear, even in the last election, that you had media outlets that took a side, and not like they did in years past, where they sort of gently kind of pursued their viewpoint.
this is like full blown. Like, okay, you're a Democrat, you're CNN. If you're a Republican, you're Fox, and there's no in between.
They almost lost, like, there should have been more shame in the idea that they would walk away from journalistic integrity to really drive an outcome, rather than to report on facts. And around Trump, and look, if I in my view, it's, they believed he was such a threat, or they whatever they believed about him was so bad that they were willing to compromise every set of ethics that should exist in journalism in order to try and prevent him from reaching office. That's it.
Do
here's
you
the
believe do you also believe the other side? While trying to prevent him from reaching office, do you believe the other side also was doing its best to make sure that he would? Because I saw on
yeah,
both sides, and that's what like turned me off. And now I get,
for sure.
my news sources from anything but the mainstream, because it's like, okay, I see that you're leaning that way. I know that because I like this guy and I watch you, I'm going to agree with what you say. But but I don't know. So I'm completely off of mainstream media. Like, I mean, there's certain key accounts that I look at, and those are the ones that I take as, even with a couple grains of salt, because I'll do a little research. Something seems a little fishy, but I'll investigate. If I have the time to do it, I'll get to the bottom of it, or at least I'll get to the roadblock where I say, okay, now it's up to me to make a conscious, common sense decision, which is accurate and which is not.
So sometimes I will like to look at it, not for information, but I actually am interested on how they are reporting on things that I have done enough legwork that I believe I have a sense of what the reality is, right?
That's like me with history. I watch the. I mean, I already know about my side, so I watch the opposition side to see, what do you say. What are your talking points? So this way, whenever I do debate you, I know exactly where you're coming with it and where you're going to go with it, and I know exactly where to go. Stop right there.
And to answer your question, like, look, I really like to think that I'm an even player, and I just call it the way I see it. Doesn't mean I'm right about everything. I think I'm right more than my fair share.
You're right all the time. Don't worry about it. You blame it on me.
I mean,
Sorry. They're going to blame the Jews anyway. If I'm wrong, so who cares?
I will say I have a history of I look at my record and I go, okay, I'm right more than my fair share. Part of it is I'm paying attention and I really look at things critically. So here's how I'll answer it. Fox invented biased reporting. They invented it, right? They are the ones who took that and turned it into a monstrous business. That being said, if you look at the right-leaning outlets and the left-leaning outlets, right, the list, there's a really small list, especially if you talk about broadcast media, a tiny list, and there is a much bigger list. And if you talk about newspapers, and so the biased left media is much more prevalent than the biased right-leaning media. And so, instead of
make a great point. I mean, even though Rupert Murdoch, and his company is, one of the biggest, it's like, it really is only. I mean, when you think about it, it's really only Fox. Like, there's like, what other stations are there?
these little schmutzer networks, One America. There's a few little guys that don't really move the needle. But on the right, you've got CNN, you have MSNBC, you've got the
You
New
mean the
York
left?
Times. On the left, right. So you have a long list that you can look to on the left that's it's just not telling an honest story. And I've distrusted media for a long time, partially because most times in the things that have been reported about things that either about me and things that I've been doing or my company's doing or an artist that I was working with, like things that I've been on the inside, I've started to see a pattern over many years on how the media operates, right? So I've had kind of in this innate distrust for a long time. I didn't participate much in politics, partially because it was just too much heavy lifting. Like I couldn't make the time to get to the truth. Now, because of this issue and because I genuinely feel like our people's very existence
Is
relies
at
on it,
risk.
I am, knee deep in analysis. And now I see, like, if you were to talk to me, I'll give you an example, just back to the UN. I had a conversation with a very good friend of mine who's unfortunately on the wrong side of the argument, really a long relationship. And I remember when we were arguing about it, he cited the UN as an authority. And that was at the beginning of this journey, right? This was maybe in November. And I thought, I couldn't even respond to him because I had the belief, well, UN is a fair player. UN is the UN. Like, why would they? So that was
Yep.
me not that long ago. And due to a tremendous amount of consuming information and paying attention, now I would be able to answer him in a different way of like, well, citing the UN is like, you might as well ask Putin what, to report on the Ukraine war if you want information, right?
Right. They've been compromised. We've seen it time and time again that you might as well have gotten the information through TikTok via the UN, and now it's disseminated on the world as if it's the truth. So it's a rough battle.
Yeah. So it's, there is something, and I haven't been able to figure this out. I always look like, when I go back into my other gear of like, entrepreneurship and career stuff, and I always look for kind of like openings in the marketplace for thing, or like where the audience is moving. Like I've always had a good sense of like finger on the pulse of like where culture is moving.
Oh, I got a good Jewish trope right now, because you're Jewish, you're good, you're going with the money.
Well,
Sorry,
yeah.
Hashem, I apologize. I'm sorry. I'll say the Shema twice.
You and I also believe that the pendulum usually swings, back and forth, right? And the pendulum on, on fact or fiction is gotten into we're beyond the red zone. We like broke the meter.
Yeah, we're in the retarded matrix.
Yeah, for undoubtedly. But I've sort of been trying to figure out, people are thirsty for the facts. Like if I put in my gear of like, what do people want, right? Because I ask that question of myself all the time in different things. What do people want? What are people missing? Where is the opportunity? And I do believe that most people, even though they are living in their echo chamber and that social media is driving us further and further into it, they actually desire something else. That even if it feels good, people, intellectually would prefer to have actual information, even if they don't like it. So I think,
I agree.
what's the opportunity there?
The funny thing is, I have a funny feeling. I'm sorry to cut you off. I almost want to write this out, because I met with the producers from a very, very big TV program. I'm not going to say what the name of it is, but I pitched an idea to them, kind of, I think, where you're going with whatever you're about to say. And it's right on the same lines. I wish I could write it out just so I could like be like this. I told you, I like this, but information is key, and the correct information is key. That's all I want to say. But I pitched this idea and they love it. So hopefully, I'll get you involved in it if it ever like takes flight, and we're off to the races, baby.
I hope, and look, I know I haven't been able to crack the code, because also I know enough to know that it's not just people, like if you give them accurate information, that thing will succeed. Like essentially, unless something is a nonprofit, you have to figure out how to make it interesting, how to sell against it, how to make money on it. That's the only way it's sustainable. And that's the challenge, right? Because the sensationalized news coverage makes people glued to their screens, whatever screen that is. The example that I give all the time is, whenever there's some weather event, right? Like the only time you're watching the Weather Channel for 24 hours is when they are scaring the shit out of you.
Right. You want to see the wave. You want to see the wave that takes over. You want to see the lightning.
Here's the big one. How many times in New York do you hear, nope, this is the nor'easter, the end all nor'easter, and then it's like a stiff wind and a couple of sprinkles, and then it's because what drives you to stay glued to the screen is the hysteria, right? And so
people don't want to see a nice, smooth train ride. They want to see a derailment.
That's right. So the challenge is getting the information accurately is a little bit at odds with how do you commercialize it to the point where it's sustainable, people will watch it, and it actually becomes popular enough to make a dent in the misinformed media.
You have to find the perfect balance between informative and performative. If you can do that, then you've cracked the code. And I'd like to think that that me and you are well on our way to doing so. I mean, you're a little bit more serious with it, and there's no joking with you whatsoever in your monologues, what you do, which I think that, if I can give you one piece of advice, like every once in a while, throw something funny in there just to like throw them off. Be like, wait, did he just say that
No,
that was
I
pretty good?
will, because I actually am, I like comedy. Like I've actually, if I have one regret in my career, it's not having delved into the comedy industry, not being a stand-up.
Same. Oh well, me, I want to try to actually do stand up. People have been telling me that I'm a funny motherfucker for years, and so, but I've been in entertainment my entire life. It's the one thing that I've never tried. I've always been kind of scared to do because I'm like,
It's
what if
hard.
they don't laugh at me? Like I wind up like this, like fuck you, like you look ugly, like your girl is a fucking piece of shit. I'm out of here,
I think
and then
stand-up
I walk up
comedy
the
is the
stage.
hardest of all of the artistic ventures. I think stand-up comedy is the absolute hardest. And I think you'll appreciate this as a musician. It's like you have to perform before it's ready for an audience. That's the only way to do it, right?
Yep.
All comedians, they get up on stage with a half-baked show that they are trying to turn into something that works. So you've got to put yourself in a position where you are almost certainly going to fail many times alone on that stage. So I have immense respect for stand-up comedians on that.
Me too, and it's one of my. I make it a point to watch, at least an hour of stand up a week because I need to unplug from all the bullshit that's going on in the world. And it's like if I
That's a
don't laugh, I'll fucking cry. But I did want to save some time to talk about. I know that there's a couple of new ventures that you're doing, and might as well discuss it on the platform, whether it has to do with Jewish stuff, whether it doesn't. I mean, you're Jewish, so it matters. So yeah, tell us about like whatever you're doing, new
yeah,
ventures
I
or
mean,
what you want people to know.
I'll stick to more of just like, and this will be more of a teaser. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that I'm working on career wise that I won't bore people with in the pre-production side of it.
Oh,
But
just spit it out. Listen, he's the new dancer for Thunder from Down Under. Make sure you
yeah,
check him out in
damn
Vegas.
it, I gotta go off my spot, Joe Paul. Uh, you know, I am pretty excited about this. Something I've been working on for many months with a group of people around the war on information, right? Around, what also dawned on me going back to the beginning of this thing was, and I went through kind of a different hierarchy where I started saying, okay, in order of importance, winning the war in Gaza is number one, and this is my list, and maybe not everybody's list, so let the hate fly if you didn't like my list, but I'll give you the change. I thought number one was winning the war in Gaza. Number two was getting the hostages back. And number three was the war on information. And as I was thinking about it in the coming days and watching everything that happened, I quickly realized that the war on information was as important as winning the physical war, because the war on information has already cost lives. It's cost lives in Gaza, it's cost lives,
And here,
the IDF, and it's cost lives here. And
you got the guys that burned themselves outside the fucking the embassy like they were doing something.
Paul Kessler was an activist that was at a rally over here in Los Angeles and got killed, just for being at a
Insane.
rally. And so anyway, that it just felt that is a real priority. It's an area that I thought I can contribute with. I kind of understand public discourse. I understand how social media works. I understand the PR world, and so myself and a group of entrepreneurs have been really working on a strategy around combating the war on information. Considering we're decades late into this fight, right? Like I think you and I have learned, and maybe you've talked about it on your show or not, of there has been billions of dollars spent on this war on information for decades.
Yep.
And we are only waking up to it now. So we not only have much smaller numbers, we have much less money that we've been deploying in it.
We're so much less organized.
Absolutely. So
So Lee, it's up to you, buddy. I just said no pressure. No, but it's up to you. Okay, so the world, listen, it's on his shoulders. I'm just here waiting for it to happen.
I guess the good thing is I like pressure. I always want the ball when the clock's about to run out, And I don't think the clock's running out, but I'm still down to take the ball. But it's something really, really, really exciting around the war on information. I think the good news is it's part of the strategy was designed to create collaboration. You kind of mentioned how we're not unified. That's a key part of what we've been trying to solve. And even Jewish organizations are competitive in a way that I can understand historically, but we need to set that aside now. And
Yeah.
so more of a tease of something that's coming, something that's also going to connect Jews and our allies around the world to the cause around the war on information. So it's also not only something that will hopefully unify voices, unify organizations, but also allow people that are, around the world that are sitting there. And I know I get it from in my DMs and my comments of like, what can we do? There's something coming that there will be an opportunity to actually participate in a truly meaningful way. Not only participate in a way that you will actually be able to see how success happens, right? So it's not like there's gonna be a call to action and you're just gonna hope. There's gonna be a call to action and you're gonna see if it's working or not. So I am super excited about it. It's an organization called Rise, is the name.
What is it? Rise, R-I-Z-E?
RISE.
R-I-S-E. All right. Rise like a phoenix from the ashes, baby.
By the way, our buddy Eitan helped develop that name. So
Oh, nice, nice. Eitan, I got my. Do I have my "I'm that Jew" shirt over here? Nope, I don't. I usually have it like right next to me so I can flash it up. I got my "I am that Jew" little chain. Eitan, listen, I was in hip hop. Next
I
time,
just
I need one like this big, to wear around my neck.
yeah, that's we'll get into a side business on that, like the hip hop version of of Judaica, hip hop Judaica.
Yeah, exactly. The hip hop Jewish world, and I mean, actually, I don't think we could do that because they're going to be like, oh, the Jews, they run the jewelry world now. I mean, we do because like, look, what's the first three letters of jewelry?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
And
But
my dad was a jeweler. Just
okay,
to
hey, listen. So listen, do you have any of his connections? So like, we got to stick
I do.
together.
I actually have a ring that I've been meaning to call up to get made. I have a ring I want to make that a Zionist ring that I've got.
Okay.
That
There was one thing that I wanted, like back when like the spinning rims were popular. I wanted to get like a 6-star Jewish star rim that just spun and then like it just gleams. But obviously I'd be a target, now if I had something like
yeah,
that. But
exactly. I've thought about that. Yeah, I leave my car alone also.
yeah, exactly. But
And I'm
listen, it was fucking awesome to talk to you. Thank you for taking the time out. I know that between all the different business that you have, as well as your activism and what you do, for everybody in the Jewish community. For you to take this amount of time, I really do appreciate it. And I've said this before, but even though we are friends, I do consider you a brother. Anytime you ever need anything, I always got your back. You let me know if you ever need to dump a body, I got you 100%. I've watched every Law and Order SVU episode, so I know everything of how to do that.
I feel the same way. And remember, I was a prosecutor, so I know the tools of the trade.
Okay, well, I was kidding then, so don't hold me accountable for my
No,
actions
no,
then.
I'm not a prosecutor anymore. I just know the
Okay,
tools.
good. I appreciate that. But listen, you're a hell of an individual. I really respect what you do. I respect you as a person. It was great to chill with you at the Voice for Peace convention. I look forward to the next time we get to hang out. And thank you for all you do for the Jews. And I'd like to leave you with a quote that I sign off with, that I'd like you to attribute to your life. I attribute it to my life, and everybody that still stayed and is listening to the end, I want you to attribute it to your life, because we are all just here for a small cup of coffee. I'm just trying to drink it while it's still hot. I'm your boy. I am Joe Paul. This has been the Verified Podcast. We were chopping it up with Lee Trink. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, leave a comment, share it with your friend. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell them all that Joe Paul and Lee Trink are here, and we are not trembling knee Jews. One love, baby. Love y'all.